What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about my second home birth, which is very, very different than my first. So check it. I originally, when I had before I had my son, I remember me and my husband talking, and we said that we wouldn't mind after our first babies, about 1.5 years, to start trying for baby number 2, because we would want them close in age. However, after having a baby and going through the experience and the first year, I was kind of like, I don't know about 1.5 years. I might have to give me a little second. I just need a minute, because this was a lot. So I know I spoke to you guys about last episode about afterbirth and how it took me a little minute to just get myself kind of in a rhythm and mentally somewhat in a better space. So I told you guys it took me about 10 months for that. But all in all, I think it was after my son hit about 1 year that I started feeling like, okay, I think I got the hang of this. I think I'm cool, you know. I also, like I said, I always plan to feed till my children are 2, unless they wean off on their own. So at this point, my son is 1.5 years now, and his nursing was only morning, night, and nap time during the day. He was eating a lot of food, so I was kind of like, oh my god, this is awesome. He's weaning off on his own, which I didn't expect at all. The one thing that's going through my head is like, I'm going to like get back to like me. Like, I'm gonna have my body back. I'm not gonna have a child on me. I'm not gonna be nursing. You know, if I want to have a little sip of wine, I can have it without feeling guilty. If I want to smoke a joint, I can have it without feeling guilty. But that's not the main reason why. I'm just saying, you just want to be you without having the pressure of someone, you know, on your body depending on you. So yeah, I was pretty excited just to get back to me. And then I started noticing that every time my son nursed, my boobs were hurting so bad, which I found super weird, because obviously once you've been nursing for a long time, that doesn't hurt anymore. So I knew something was off. I didn't know what it was. And then I will never forget, I was in the shower and then it hit me. I said, I'm pregnant. I'm fucking pregnant. That was the reason why my boobs were so sore and hurting me when he was nursing. Sure enough, I take a pregnancy test and it comes out positive, of course, and I find out I'm pregnant. Now I'm gonna keep it so freaking real with y'all. I cried a lot. And it's not that I wasn't happy. Of course, anytime you have a baby, it's, you know, it's always a great thing. But the truth of the matter was, I wasn't ready. Like, I just felt like I was just getting myself back. And I can't even describe to you how I felt. I was just so scared, like, whoa. Just because just knowing what everything entails, and just birth and labor and pregnancy and afterbirth, it was just like, oh my god, wait a minute, like I can't, I'm not ready to do this all over again, like right now. So I cried. I remember calling my best friend, and I just kept saying, I'm not ready. Like, I'm just not ready, you know? And my husband was kind of confused. He's like, are you happy? Are you not happy? Because he was so happy. And I'm like, no, don't get me wrong. I'm so grateful and so happy, but I just wasn't ready, you know? So I went through I'm gonna be honest, I went through a good month. Well, I was pretty much depressed. I couldn't get out of this funk. I remember calling my best friend. I felt so guilty for feeling this way. And, you know, she would tell me like, it's normal. I went through the same thing, because she had a situation where she had, you know, her last 2 children back to back unexpectedly. And she's like, I felt the same way. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it was hard. It was so hard. Not only that, unlike my son's pregnancy, I had the worst nausea all day. It wasn't no morning sickness. It was an all day sickness. Like, I didn't throw up, but it was just that feeling of wanting to throw up all day, but you don't throw up, and it was literally all day. I had that for like a good month, I want to say. My mouth, I couldn't taste anything really. I had like food aversions. The general exhaustion in the first trimester was crazy. I had that with my son too, but it was different because with my son, I didn't have another child to tend to. So whenever I wanted to take a nap and I was tired, I took a nap. It didn't matter. But when you have a toddler and you are pregnant in that first trimester, let me tell you, it is no freaking joke. This was probably, it was so hard the beginning of the pregnancy because of the nausea, because of the exhaustion. I had so much work on my plate, and then not only that, on top of that, I'm chasing a toddler who's demanding my attention 24/7. So it was just so hard. I remember my son, he's a very dramatic person. He's a Cancer sign, and I remember just feeling super overwhelmed. I would just like yell at him and go crazy at times. I would feel like a freaking lunatic. Like I was losing my damn mind, you know, but it was also just my own personal frustration that sometimes you feel guilty that you take out on your children, like not meaning to, but you just do unconsciously. So there was just so many things going on in the beginning. It was a really rough time. It took me a minute to adjust to it, to just kind of just settle into the idea of knowing that I have to do this again. It took me a minute, I'm not gonna lie, it took me a little minute. But then when I did, after the first trimester was over and all that craziness was done, it was kind of a smooth ride from there. I had a pretty easy pregnancy after that. No cravings, no craziness, no swelling. It was pretty chill. Also, oh, let me just mention also, I forgot to mention, this is so important. Another stress that was on me in the beginning was that I remember calling my son's midwife to let her know, like, okay, we're having another baby, what's up? And she told me that she was moving. So of course now I'm sad because I'm like, this lady like experienced this first thing with me. I don't have anybody else, you know? But I remember hitting up a midwife that I know, Rasha, and I was just finding someone who was in my area. I was in the Inland Empire, because I know she doesn't service the Inland Empire. So she ended up telling me that Debbie Allen, who was somebody I was actually following for some time on social media, I had met her at a breastfeeding event a while ago. My son was like 3 months when I was going through the breastfeeding challenges with my son. And when she told me that Debbie serviced my area, I was like super excited because I was like just obsessed with Debbie and her page and everything she stood for. She's just amazing. So I remember telling my husband, like, we're getting her. I know you're gonna like her, but I already want her. So I called her up, I met with her. She's just amazing. She owns Tribe Midwifery. If you don't know Debbie Allen, you need to know Debbie Allen. Like, she's just bomb.com. So anyways, Debbie becomes my midwife, which was everything that God planned, because this was like the perfect thing that she was everything I needed for this birth. So having Debbie, you know, just helped me just through the whole entire pregnancy, everything, and adjusting to everything. So let's cut straight to it. Now we get into labor. Okay. Whew. Now, I was due August 11th. So I remember my last appointment with Debbie, which August 11th was on I want to say Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember. Anyways, I remember my appointment with Debbie was that Wednesday, and I was due like that weekend. And I remember telling Debbie before she left, I said, we're gonna turn up this weekend. She was like, oh really? I'm like, oh. She's like, I'm just waiting for you, just call me. And sure enough, I remember it was a Thursday night, and my husband had to pick up my best friend Freddie from the airport. So Debbie was kind of just on deck, knowing that I was going to be by myself, you know, for a good 4 hours or so, while he was picking her up from the airport, and I could, you know, obviously give birth at any moment. So sure enough, my husband goes to the airport, and while he's at the airport, it's about 10:30 p.m. and my mucus plug comes out. That didn't happen with my son, by the way. My mucus plug comes out. I hit up Debbie. She heads. She's like, all right, yeah, it's going down. So she heads on her way. She gets to my house about, I think it was like 11:30 or something like that. And then my husband gets back in the house with my best friend Freddie at about 12 midnight. And at midnight is when my contractions started. And then throughout the night, they were pretty just, you know, they were progressing, but they were contractions that I was able to like take naps in between and just rest in between. They weren't as crazy. I definitely handled this entire labor completely different than my first. I knew I was more confident. I knew how to breathe better, how to just, you know, just go with the contractions and not tense my body up. This is so important because you have to understand that birth, I want to say 90% of it is mental. It really is. You have so much control of your body, and a lot of times we shut our own bodies down because of our fear, which is completely understandable. We're about to like freaking pop a whole human out of our coochie. Who wouldn't get scared of that? But there's so much mental power that you have, and you have to really own that shit. I'm telling you. So this time we had also decided not to call our parents while I was in labor. I didn't want to deal with did the baby come yet? Did the baby come yet? Did the baby come yet? So we just were like, you know what? Don't call them. Like, for what? They're gonna keep bothering us when we can just hit them up when we have the baby, and that's it. So that's what we did. That also alleviated stress. Like, we just handled everything so different. We were like, fuck everything else. We're in this zone. We know what to do now. We know what messed us up before and what messed me up before, and we're not gonna do the same thing. So we kind of just took control. I had Freddie there. I had my other great friend who's my family now, Tanae. She was at my first birth as well. And then I had my husband, and then I had Debbie and Debbie's assistant, who was amazing as well. So my contractions progressed as time was going. I was still in labor the next day. And at about 1:30 p.m., I will never forget. And that is when the contractions went from like 0 to 60. And it was back to back to back to back. I remember Debbie had stepped out to grab something to eat or something like that. And then I looked at my husband and I said, text her now, it's back to back, it's back to back. And he texted her and she came like 2 seconds later back to my house. Yeah, and from that point, woohoo, that's when shit gets real. And it is that intense freaking pain. Oh my God. I can't even describe it. But it's so painful. And I ended up giving birth to my daughter at 3:50 p.m. So about a good 2 hours and 20 minutes or so is where it was crazy and intense. Now, originally, my goal was to give birth in my birthing pool like I did with my son. However, although I labored a lot of I labored a lot in the pool, I remember Debbie had said, if I get out and just lay like on my side from side to side, I'll dilate faster. And at this point, you want to do whatever you got to do to get this baby out. So I was like, let's do it. So I remember getting out, and when they laid me on my side, that pain was so bad. Oh my God. The minute, I remember, I think we did it probably like 2 or 3 times. All I know at that point, I'm like, she's like, the baby's here. Like, I feel like I gotta poop. You feel like I gotta take the biggest dump in the world. And I remember Debbie like, wait, I don't think, you know, not yet. I think you have a little bit more. And I'm like, nope, it's coming. And I remember them opening my legs, and baby was right there. So there was just no time for me to get back in the pool or any of that. I didn't even care about the pool at that time. I remember my husband like, you sure you don't want to get in the pool? And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I just want to have this baby, and I want you to get this baby out now, because now you have that ring of fire, that pain that's freaking intense, and you just like, get the baby out now. Finally, I pushed my baby out. And I was so delirious in the whole thing. I know Debbie said that at one point she asked that if I wanted to touch the head, and I said no, and I was like, oh my God, I felt so bad afterwards. But I guess you're so in the moment of like, get this baby out, that you don't really hear anything else, honestly. So she was like, no. She's like, do not feel bad. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I pushed my beautiful baby girl out. Her best feeling in the world. And then to my surprise, which I didn't experience in my son, my daughter right away goes on my boob and latches on and starts drinking milk. And I'm like, oh my God. That was amazing. So she latched on. She was on like one boob for like 30 minutes. And then she went on the next boob for like another 30 minutes. Like, I mean, she was not playing. So that wasn't an issue. I was like, oh, this is amazing. After that, we chilled with our baby. We were just enjoying the entire moment. My son was there. He was a little confused, for sure. He didn't want to be around her. He was kind of looking at her like sideways. He was looking at me sideways too. So yeah, so that was incredible. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And then, it's about maybe, I want to say a week in, and my daughter, I start to find out that she's colic. Now, if you've ever had a colic baby, if you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm just gonna give you a brief. Basically, the baby will cry for hours and hours and hours at like a certain time. She would start like around 7 o'clock at night, around there. And I'm talking about like a good 4 hours of just non-stop crying. Now, a lot of times it's gas, and it has to do with stuff that you're eating, especially if you're nursing. So at this point, I'm like barely eating anything, because it's like, it's not just like, it's like certain vegetables are very gassy, like broccoli or things like that. So I'm like just trying to figure out what the hell am I eating that is doing this to this girl. Like, I'm losing my freaking mind. I'm telling you, you go crazy. Like, you really go crazy. I remember just times she would just cry, and I would just sit there and look at her, because there was nothing I could do. Like, there was nothing I could do to help her. And you feel so helpless. You feel like the worst freaking parent in the world. I remember getting in the car, driving her around, like just trying to do anything to get this little girl to sleep. It wasn't working. So I'm like trying to dissect every little thing that I'm eating to see what is causing this baby to, you know, this gas. Eliminating everything I could think of. Nothing. Now I'm really going crazy. And then it hits me. I look at my prenatal pills. Now, as I showed you guys before, and I'm gonna get more in depth with that in the next episode with nutrition, but I noticed that my prenatal pills are all vegetable based. So there goes the gassy foods that, although I wasn't consuming in the solid form, I was consuming in my birth control. I mean, in my prenatal pills. The minute I stopped my prenatal pills is when everything stopped. The colic stopped. But I dealt with her with dealing with that for a good month. Like the whole first month, it was a pure nightmare. Like I cried so much that first month. Because the worst thing is just seeing your baby cry and not being able to do anything to help them. Like, you know what I mean? Like that shit fucks you up inside. So yeah, that was really hard. Like I didn't deal with that with my son, you know? So although like she latched on and breastfeeding was really easy, I did deal with the colic, and that was really hard. Really hard. But after that, it was pretty good. It was a lot of adjustment, dealing with two babies and making sure that my son didn't feel left out, that he knew like, you know, mommy still loves you, like, and I would do my best to just continue to play with him and do everything, to show him like he was involved and ask him to help me with things. I also, unlike my son's birth, my son, I thought like oh, I can get up and just, you know, I feel fine. I'm gonna get up and move around and start doing what I do. And that fucked me up because I remember bleeding for like almost a month. Like, it was so bad. And that's because I wouldn't sit my ass still, because I got bamboozled into the whole belief that strength is moving around and just getting right back to normal after you just pop out a baby, which is a complete lie. Strength is actually sitting there and resting and saying thank you to your body for doing what it just did for 10 months. Yes, you're pregnant for 10 months, not no 9 months. Your due date is the end of your 9th month. Therefore, it's 10 months. Like for my son, I gave birth 10 months and 6 days. You know what I mean? But my daughter, I gave birth obviously like right at the end of my 9th month. So you're pretty much pregnant for 10 months, okay? So you're pregnant for 10 months, you know, it's just so much going on, you know, your body has done throughout those 10 months. And the last thing that your body needs is for you to get up and walk around like you didn't just build a whole freaking baby and just pop out a whole baby. Like, that shit is so, it's such a misconception that we have, and we need to stop doing that as women. Like, we need to really respect our bodies, say thank you to our bodies, and sit the fuck down. So I remember Debbie said she wanted me for a week on bed rest, and you best believe I was up in that bed and I did not move for a whole week. I had my mother-in-law, I had my best friend Freddie, and my husband was cooking. He was bringing me my food, doing all that. You had my mother-in-law and Freddie just taking care of Tristan, making sure he ate, entertaining him, you know? So I had everything. Yeah, I had my whole little village that was taking care of everything that needed to be taken care of in my house. So all I needed to do was just rest and enjoy my baby and nurse. That's all I was doing. I was resting, nursing, and just enjoying the moment. Then anytime I needed to shower, and things like that, I would just pump real quick and give it to my mother-in-law or my husband or my best friend, and they would hold, you know, they would take the baby for a little bit, and just chill with the baby themselves. And then I would just go take a peaceful shower that lasted more than 5 minutes, and just kind of fix myself up a little bit, you know. So just overall, it was, although the beginning was harder, afterwards, because I handled things very, very different. It was a much more smoother experience outside of the colicness afterwards. Not only that, I remember telling myself, I don't know, like, I am not giving myself a date or a time frame of when I'm gonna start working out and doing X, Y, and Z. I really was like, F everything. Whenever the hell I feel like it, whenever my body feels like it, then I'm gonna do it. But I'm not gonna sit here and put all these false expectations. I'm just gonna ride this wave. I'm gonna go day by day and just go like that. When it came to work, me and my husband were just like, we'll figure out a schedule as we get our rhythm, you know, like, because you have to really wait till everybody leaves. So just like that, because I had people there pretty much that first month. Just when everybody leaves, and then you can kind of get your groove and get your schedule on and things like that, or find the schedule. So that's pretty much what we did. We went literally day by day. We stayed in the moment. We didn't plan all this crazy stuff, you know, which I think is what kind of destroys people. You try to just get back to something you had with something new involved, and it doesn't work like that. It was a new life in our home, so it was just gonna be a new routine, a new schedule. Everything was gonna be new. Nothing was gonna be the same, and we knew that, and we were okay with that, and I was okay with that. I didn't go through as much emotional just feeling off as much as I did with my son, with my daughter. I kind of was just like, listen, this is a beautiful experience, and I'm just gonna enjoy every minute of it. So I think it was just the fact of not having these false expectations that helped me so much. So yeah, that was my second home birth. It was beautiful. I would love for every woman to experience what I've experienced, for sure. But that's about it, guys. So as you can see, like they always say, every pregnancy is different, every birth is different. So don't ever think like you're gonna go through the same thing. Just be open to just whatever that experience is gonna be. Take in every moment, live in each moment, live in that now and enjoy it. And I promise you it'll be the best experience you ever have, despite how crazy that pain is. So that's about it, guys, for today. Next episode, I'm gonna go in detail when it comes to nutrition during pregnancy and then afterwards when you're nursing. And I'll try to also go into, if I have time, as far as feeding your children if you're deciding to be plant-based. That's what I'm focusing on when it comes to nutrition, because I am plant-based. There's a lot of misconception in that part. So I'm gonna be just giving you my personal experience in that, and just some pointers and all this great stuff you guys can eat and how to raise plant-based children. But that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it.